My name is Carl, and let me just start off to say that I've never been one to believe in paranormal nonsense. It's not that I don't believe in ghosts, it's just that I never thought about that category. To give you a bit of a background, I consider myself extroverted, and I live in the moment. I guess you could say that I'm the friend that your parents are referring to when they say, if all your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump too? You get the point. Basically, thinking about ghosts or demons or life after death was something I never truly stopped and thought about. Now, that being said, you need to believe me when I say that everything I'm about to tell is true. I mean it. So, I've been dating this girl now for 2 years. Her name is Lola. Before I get into it, she's not the crazy psycho type. I'm just telling you this now because I don't want you to get the wrong impression when I go further into detail about her. She sees stuff, tells stories of seeing and interacting with stuff. Stuff that not a lot of people consider normal, or know about, or even see for that matter. There's been times of conversations where it's either just me and her or a group of friends reminiscing and telling stories, where Lola tells one of her stories about, I guess you could say, encounters with something strange. I swear, if I wrote down half the stories she told, I would be a famous author or something. Anyways, it's not about the stories themselves. It's more as how she tells them. She tells them as if it was normal everyday mishaps. Like, if you had to talk about the time the weather said sunny, but on your outdoor activities, it started to rain. Almost like this happened, but then this happened. It was weird, and in some cases, a bit of a bummer. But in the end, nothing special about it. To give you an actual example of a story she shared, you're gonna have to forgive me. It's sort of a short summary, not the whole thing. She talked about one time at her grandma's house, back in Mexico, when she was a little girl. There was a small adult elf thing that tried to have her follow it under the bed. Simple story? Yes. Creepy story? Hell yes. But let me just emphasize the fact that how she told the story made all the difference. Like a normal day, something weird happened. In the end, nothing special. Now let's get back to the story and the reason I'm typing all this out. End of college, just after graduation. We graduated the same year, Lola and I. It was a group of friends, Lola and myself included, decided to take a fun trip to Miami. Basically, our goal was to party, day drink, eat bomb food, and spend the time in the warm sun with refreshing Atlantic waves for an entire week. Us college friends just wanted to do the last hurrah before we started being actual, functional, useful adults in society. Sounds fun? Hell yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure I was drunk the entire time. And we got more drunk than I'd like to admit when doing water activities like renting Sea-Doos and wakeboarding. Hey, no harm was done and no property was damaged, so it was better and safer than half the shit my group of friends have done in the weekly party shenanigans back in college. Beautiful beaches, perfect sand, ocean, gentle currents with sublime water temperatures. And of course, cheap alcohol. All with recently graduated college students? Yeah, we had stupid dumb fun. At least until the last full day. The solemn feeling of the end of vacation, the end of college life, the end of fun, with little to no responsibilities, and all the free time you knew what to do with. It was all starting to sink in on the last full day in Miami. The morning of, and a few Bloody Marys or mimosas in, my college group, Lola and I, decided to go to the huge lake of a pool at the resort for a swim. Fun fact, you can sleep at a cheap hotel and then go to a resort that you're not staying at for free breakfast that's way tastier and better, and a better pool without really anyone noticing. No matter how much security they have, if you look like a tourist, you fit in. So we go in the pool, and let me just say, it was a long pool. I mean huge. The biggest one I've ever seen. As we started swimming, we all decided to go to the deep end. And by deep, I mean deep. It had to be around 50 feet deep, I swear. By far the deepest, clearest, most beautiful pool I have ever been in. People that normally live in luxury, I hate you. And if your mom says, "Oh honey, they're just jealous," she'd be right. 100% right. Back to the story. So we got to the deepest part of the pool. Our main goal was to swim all the way down to the bottom, just to see if we could make it, or if we could, how long we could stay down there. Was it dumb? Yes. Was it dangerous? Well, there was lifeguards, but still yes. But before you start saying that we're a bunch of stupid college kids, let me just say that why the hell is there a 50-foot deep pool if they didn't want us to swim all the way to the bottom? Right when we got to the deep part of the pool, treading on the surface, Lola's mood immediately changed from the tipsy, relaxed, fun seeker to absolute dread. She looked at me, and I could instantly tell something was wrong. She said, "We need to get out of the pool." "What's wrong?" "What? Why?" I said. "Let's just go back to the shallow end," she said. Now, we were eyeing the deep end for quite a while, almost like we needed to do it before we left, like a rite of passage in some regards. So no matter how terrified Lola looked, I was really headstrong about diving to the bottom. "Hey, if you want a life jacket, we can get you one next to the waterproof diapers," I said jokingly, but with some sass. "There's people at the bottom," Lola said quietly. My eyes widened. I turned my head towards the bottom of the pool, rotating my gaze to see what scene I was about to perceive. It was empty. There was nothing at the bottom. "There's nothing there, Lola," I said. Lola's stare at me changed from scared to more of an annoyed look. "But I see them, Carl. We should get out of the deep end," she said. For obvious reasons, and if you've ever been in a relationship, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The slight mood change and body language that says, "I'm annoyed, I'm your girlfriend, you're starting to annoy me, and I need you to wise up real quick." I did a quick sigh and turned towards my friends and shouted, "Hey guys, the pools exist back in Chico too. We're gonna miss out if we stay here. Let's go to the beach." I was never one to have sound logic, but now that I look back, that actually made quite a bit of sense. After all, there was no beaches back where we went to school. Our friends agreed, and next thing I knew, we were on our way to a part of a beach that was secluded, and Lola's irritation of me acting like a jackass never fully developed into anger. We arrived at the beach, a beautiful beach, temperature perfection, sand never too hot, and we rushed into the pleasant waves. The depth was subtle, but we swam out until the crystal clear water turned into a deeper dark blue. I will forever regret the moments that follow, and I pray no one will experience what I'm about to tell you. Suddenly, I felt a sharp squeeze on my left arm. For a moment, I thought it must have been a shark. It was so strong. When I looked, it was Lola, with a look of absolute bona fide fear. Eyes widen, lips trembling, arms shaking. Usually, she has a brown complexion, but in this moment, she was pale. I'm talking ghost white. She was afraid, very afraid. "We need to leave. They followed us. And more are coming," she whispered. I don't know, and I don't think I would ever know if the reason she whispered was because she couldn't speak properly, or if she was afraid they would hear her. Ugh, I groaned. This again? I didn't care if she would get mad. I didn't care if she was right. I didn't care about if there was something dangerous. I didn't care at all. But I should have. Yeah, I see them too, I said sarcastically. I had my hand in the water and began to wave at the seafloor behind us. I then put my head beneath the water and bubbled an inaudible, "Hello?" Popping my head back out the water, I rolled my eyes at Lola, who was surprisingly not mad, but had a growing look of fear and concern. I shrugged off her grip, then swam down with the plan of doing a pretend handshake with the people on the seafloor. As I swam down, I realized we were definitely in the deep end. Like, my ears can't take this, and I'm still not close to the bottom deep. My feet landed in the soft sand, feeling the warmth of the tropical water surrounding me. I waved and extended my hand out, performing a gesture of shaking something's hand. Obviously, at the time, there was nothing there. I turned my head up to see Lola legitimately freaking out, flailing every limb and splashing every which way. This is when shit hit the fan. The water suddenly got ice cold, like I'd been plunged into a glacier lake. Guys, this was beyond cold. This was ice cold. Freezing ice, holy shit, cold. Cold. The light immediately darkened as if the sun was blotted out by an ominous storm cloud above the waves. I can't explain it, but it was as if gravity hung in the watery atmosphere, and it instantly put me in a state of panic in its presence. In hindsight, this all took place in 5 seconds. But when you have that much fear, that much adrenaline, it felt like I was down there for minutes or longer. I slowly turned my head from up to the surface to straight forward, as if to look where the sudden change was coming from. As I did, even the tint of the water changed from the tropical blue to more of a gloomy, diminished red. It's not something I can convey into words. The human language doesn't have what's needed to explain any of this. The dark reddish tint, it wasn't bright, but it caused pain in my eyes differently than salt water. More like staring at a sun, but it was red and dim, and somehow too bright to look at. Even the sand changed from the soothing comfort to a coarse, gritty feel that rubbed every surface of the soles of my feet like cheese on a grater. I didn't just see people, I saw a crowd. And I didn't just feel fear, I felt dread, impending doom, washing over me. It was as if I was in another environment, another planet, another dimension. Everything was like in slow motion, and not like, oh, when you're underwater, the movement is so slow. This was the moment between life and death slow. One of those things was right in front of me, and I could see in detail that didn't look like they were in water. They didn't even look wet. I can't explain it. The hair and skin, everything was desert dry. They were all gaunt, skeleton-looking corpses. And they were completely naked, as in they were wearing no clothes. Their skin was gray. The dread, the shock, the everything changing, it gave me distortion and my world started spinning. Their eyes were sunken sockets, and they had exaggerated wrinkles circling around them. Their noses, barely there, rather 2 nostrils. They had frowns I can only compare to a horror cartoon clown frowns. Except the one right in front of me. He was angry, like full of rage, teeth baring, clenched in fury. He extended his arm, grabbing my throat. Any air I had in my lungs would have been exhaled sharply in the shock of everything that was going on if it weren't for this thing's hand wrapped tightly around my throat. They all started to run towards me, and I looked up because it was the only thing I could do, or maybe I could signal my friends or Something in the last-ditch effort to survive. As I looked up, I saw a hand. It was Lola's hand. I reached up and grabbed it. I pushed my legs down into the shards of sand. I used my free hand to shove that creature away with little to no avail. I pushed off the seafloor as Lola pulled me up. The thing's grip turned into a reluctant scraping hold, which began to tear from my throat down to my torso as Lola and I ascended upward. I could have sworn its hand was millimeters away from grabbing my feet as we swam up. My lungs were burning and I began to lose consciousness. Next thing I remember, everything was back to normal. And I was back on the sand, on land, being dragged away from the water by 2 lifeguards with my friends and Lola staring intensely at me. They chopped it all up to oxygen deprivation. Somehow my hypoxic brain hallucinated everything. The world spinning, the disorientation, the sudden change in surrounding stimuli, all from holding my breath too long. I wish it was true. I wish that it was all just a weird, bad trip of alcohol and lack of oxygen. It doesn't explain the mark on my neck and chest. That doesn't explain how vividly I remember everything. And it doesn't explain why sometimes when I'm at lakes and oceans now, I can almost see people at the bottom. And every time that I do, and sometimes that I don't, my neck starts to hurt. And sometimes when I feel it, I look at Lola. She's always staring at something. Something not normal. Something no one else sees. I definitely don't like swimming in open water now. I may only be able to see them sometimes, but they can definitely see me. And I feel it.
Hey everybody, NightShifter here. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy it, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you think you know someone who might like this type of stuff, don't forget to share also. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, don't forget to put that in the comment section. And thank you for listening.